Welcome to Nature Calls, Conversations from the Hudson Valley. Our team's goal is to present science-based information about gardening and all things nature in New York's Hudson Valley. Hosts Jean and Tim, along with team members
Teresa, Linda, and Annie,
are master gardener volunteers for New York's Columbia and Greene counties. So if you're interested in gardening or nature, or nuggets of information about what's happening outside your door, settle in. Enjoy the conversation. Whatever the season, we have something to say.
Hello, and welcome to Nature Calls, Conversations from the Hudson Valley. I'm Jean Thomas.
And I'm Teresa Golden.
Today our guests are the husband and wife team of geologists and authors, Robert and Johanna Titus. We have much to discuss with this pair of retired professors, but first let's ask them about their backgrounds. Actually, the whole time would be used up if they just listed their credentials, so let's put it this way. In no particular order, could you each tell us what you yourself think of as the outstanding points of your career? Johanna?
Well, I thought about that. And for me, the next thing that happens is the outstanding point. Seriously, because it's something new. It's something that perhaps that we haven't thought of yet, something that we've just discovered. And so life evolves, and that's how we go on.
Okay, so what have you done so far?
What have we done so far? We've done a lot of work on the Ice Age. We have linked the culture of the Hudson Valley in our latest book with the Ice Age and the geology of the Hudson Valley. Those are, to us, important things that people should know about, and just getting our message out to people.
Okay, Bob.
I'd like to pick up where Johanna started. And in my mind, it's not so much thinking back at what I've done, but looking forward and hoping and expecting that 10 years from now, I'll be a completely different person. 10 years ago, we knew almost nothing about the Hudson River School of Art. And now we're doing, I think we could call ourselves art historians.
I think you qualify.
And we're doing original research on the Hudson River School of Art. Just the last few days, we discovered where 2 paintings had been done, and it had not been known.
Oh, the site?
Yeah, we physically went and sat where the artist sat in 1858. And it was a painting done by a man named Paul Weber from Germany, and he entitled it Scene in the Catskills.
Oh, that's cool.
And that tells you nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
we found it.
We looked at that, and there was a big boulder on the lower left of the painting, and we both thought that in Catterskill Clove, there was a cluster of such boulders, and we thought it must be above Fawn's Leap. You've probably heard of Fawn's Leap. And we went up there years ago, actually. Johanna doesn't hike as much as she used to, but I went up there just a couple of days ago, found the exact location where he painted, took a picture of it, framed the picture so it matched the painting, and sent that image off to several art historians who just became in a lather over it. They were so thrilled, they were so excited about the fact that we had discovered. And I went there, but we did the discovery. And they were thrilled to know where this painting came from. Can you imagine how exciting that is?
Oh, I can't. Well, you know what I think about these artists, and they're hauling all this stuff up there, and those are none of those easy hikes. And they're hauling all their gear up there and sitting around and painting and then hauling it all back down. That part just baffles me.
I think most of them just write sketchbooks and pencils.
Oh, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got some of the old sketchbooks in museums.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can look up, Thomas Gold did about 2,000 sketches.
Wow.
They're all available online.
Oh, we'll have to go play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done that. We've looked at them all.
So in 10 years, you're going to be an art historian.
No, I hope I will be something I couldn't even imagine today.
Oh, okay.
I hope my whole life, just Johanna said, life evolves.
Yeah.
And 10 years from now, I hope I can't even imagine. I hope I'm doing something that would baffle me today. I said, what?
Well, if Teresa and I are still doing the podcast, we'll have you come back.
Yeah. And, I'm speaking to everybody in your audience. You should think of life as something which changes, which evolves. Don't think of yourself as what you are today. Just let it happen. Let your interests change. And let yourself evolve over time.
That's a great life philosophy. I really like that one. But we're also really big fans of your weekly column in the Mountain Eagle newspaper. You make your subjects interesting to us amateurs, and I especially like the way you weave our own tiny lifespans into the vast timeline of the region we inhabit. There are actually 2 specific topics I'd like to learn more about. They are the Catskill Fossil Forest, particularly the Cairo Quarry site, and your newest book, The Hudson River School of Art and Their Ice Age Origins.
Let's start with Cairo. There's been a ton of interest since the New York Post carried an article about the place. The article went all over the world via the internet, and I must tell our listeners that the site is fenced and protected by the town of Cairo, which still owns it. You, however, have special privileges and can conduct tours there, am I right?
Oh, you're going to get Johanna. Yeah, we do not.
We are not privileged to be there. We are trying to protect the site.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
We are privileged to ask permission to go there anytime. That's all we get. We have to ask permission. We can't just go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've cleared that up.
We're not like that.
Not yet. We got 10 years to negotiate. Yeah, okay. So you have some tours scheduled in the near future?
Yes, the Mountaintop Arboretum has asked me to lead a tour in August 3rd, I think, with a rain date set up. And we're going to meet there. You have to register. And once you're registered, you're privileged to meet there. And I will be leading a hike around the quarry.
Okay, because I know you've been overly sold out a couple of times already at the library.
I can't absolutely speak for him, but for myself, we are very much worried about protecting this site, protecting it from vandals, protecting it from overuse. There was a site of the Gilboa Forest on Schoharie Reservoir land that the DEP, because they own it and New York City owns it, decided that they were going to bury it.
Oh, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, and that made it inaccessible to scientists as well as other people.
Is that kind of I know they do that with archaeological sites too. They bury them just to protect them until they can access them safely.
Well, I think there's a rule, and don't quote me on this, but there's a rule in New York City: if you uncover while you're excavating for the newest skyscraper, if you uncover an archaeological site, you have 60 days to look at that site, to dig it up, to do whatever you're going to do, and then it gets back to the original owners, and they can do whatever they want.
That's not a big protection.
No.
We want a lot more for Cairo.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they understand what they have, and they're very serious taking care of it.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with that.
Now, the Cairo Forest has a sort of neighbor in Gilboa called the Devonian Gilboa Forest. How are the 2 sites different, and how are they alike?
Well, critically, Cairo is 3 million years older. So it's 3 million years earlier in the history of the evolution of forests. At Gilboa, that's been known about since the 1860s. I think since the 1920s, no, later than that. It's been studied extensively, and we've got a much better understanding of what was in that forest. We have 3 very different types of trees, and then we have all the creepy, crawly little critters that lived in that forest. We have centipedes and millipedes. We have very primitive spiders. We have insects, which are equally primitive. If you've ever seen a silverfish, those are very simple insects. They don't have wings like most insects do. They're representative of the Devonian time period that we're talking about. And they have silverfish-type insects at Gilboa. So we just know a lot more about Gilboa because we've been studying it so much more, so much longer. Both are remarkable fossil sites. I always like to say these two sites are individually much more important than any dinosaur site anywhere, because dinosaurs are just reptiles. Cairo and Gilboa are forest ecologies, the whole ecology being born at these locations 400 million years ago.
Okay, so if they're 3 million years apart in time, is the ecology totally different?
There are only 2 trees at Cairo. There are 3 trees at Gilboa. And to date, I don't believe any creepy crawly animals have been discovered at Cairo. So we don't have a fleshed out view of the forest that lived there. What we do have, and if you're able to get onto one of these walks, is beautiful preservation of the trees that are there. Great root systems as big as this room, and the bottoms of the trunks of the trees beautifully preserved.
How do they compare in size to something like a sequoia?
Well, they weren't nearly as big as the sequoia. You know what? We went to Key West a couple of months ago, and out back of the place where we stayed were the stumps of coconut palms. There were dead ringers for the tree roots that are found at Cairo.
Okay. And palms are a pretty primitive plant, no?
They're primitive advanced plants.
Yeah. Never asked a scientist an open question.
The coconut palm probably is about the size of the Cairo trees.
Now, there's also the Hangman Sandstone Formation in Devon, England, that popped up in competition that's supposed to be even older.
A little bit older. We got the latest word on that. I don't think you even saw it. Did you get that email, Joanna? They have decided that the fossils they have there are, quote, not trees, but, quote, proto-trees.
So like trainees?
So, yeah, what's a proto-tree?
Don't get me to defend that position.
It's not quite a tree.
But Kristen Wyckoff, who I bet many people know, who has been a very one of the lead people from the Catskills who's popularized the Gilboa forest. She was thrilled because technically now the Cairo forest is the oldest known forest. The one in England, because it's a proto-trees, it's a proto-forest. It's technically, it sounds like being a lawyer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we can, once again, we can technically say we have the oldest known fossil forest.
How much older is the Hangman thingy?
I think 2 million years.
Oh, that's chump change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a few.
Okay. Yeah, just a couple million. Okay, now I ask a lot of third grader questions. These sites were discovered at quarries, which makes sense. But now the purpose of a quarry is to cut up stones and haul them away. And I'm visualizing things. Again, I remind you of third grade level. Is it possible that in all those stones that they cut up and towed away, there was the whole rest of those trees that the root system is left from?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, probably not. Yeah, she's right. Sure, it could be. Probably not.
I like the way you think.
Because most couples fight over money. And I think most people think that we're building a case. We've got the evidence, and we wanted to flesh that out this summer. That a terrible storm struck the mountains to the east, generated enormous flooding coming down those mountains and sweeping through Cairo at that time, carrying off all those trees.
This was a couple million years ago.
No, it was probably about 385 million years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You see, when you go to that quarry, you look at the fossils and you don't look around. Well, we looked around.
Yeah.
And we saw a ledge next to the quarry, and in that ledge was an awfully convincing storm deposit. And where could the storm have come from? Well, you see, to the east where the Berkshires are today, there was a towering mountain range. And towering mountain ranges are really good at having thunderstorms.
Okay.
And so we think way back then there was a terrible thunderstorm. It waters rushed down the mountain, swept through Cairo, carrying off, kicking and screaming
My trees.
your trees.
All right.
So they're not there to be cut up.
Okay, but as long as there's a reasonable explanation that fits my imagination, I'm happy. Okay.
Johanna and I have debated this.
Yeah.
Her opinion,
One or two of the trees could have.
yeah, her opinion is a little different from mine, and it's a defendable hypothesis.
Thanks.
I don't want to be at their dinner table.
So we're really blessed to be living in this area where a hiker can explore geological finds and a geologist can enjoy the unique beauty of the Catskill Mountains. A lot of times as I'm driving along Route 23, I see vans with college students, it looks like. What are they looking at?
Mm-hmm. You want to do that one?
They're looking at the geological tourist trap.
Let me flesh that out. This would work so much better if I had a blackboard. But the that location is internationally known.
Bush Mountains.
If you go there and you've had a background in stratigraphy, you can convince yourself that you're looking at stratigraphic evidence of two separate mountain building events.
Okay, wait. What, stratigraphy?
Stratigraphy is the study of stratified rocks,
How the layers are.
Okay.
sedimentary stratified rocks, and all of the Catskills are composed of stratified sedimentary rocks. The strata are usually horizontal. They're deposited as sheets of sand and silt and clay. But when you go to that location, you find they're inclined. To your right, standing in front of the outcrop, the rocks all dip towards you. To your left, the rocks all dip towards you from the left to the right. From the right, they dip from the right to the left. And there's an erosional surface in between the two sets of rocks. A great mountain building event occurred. The sediments were deposited, and then a mountain building event tilted those rocks. Then another episode of deposition occurred, and another mountain building event occurred, and the rocks were tilted to the right.
And how far apart were these events?
About 50 million years.
Okay, and what was the longevity of each event?
Oh, tens of billions of years. It takes about 10, 20 million years to build a good-sized mountain range. She's signaling a disagreement here.
Oh,
No, I'm just saying
she's using
there are spots. There are spots in that outcrop where the rocks are actually folded back on themselves.
Yeah, by the mountain building.
Yeah.
oh, okay. So they were like,
So a mountain smushed into another mountain, and
Everybody who's listening, take out a sheet of paper, pull the sheet of paper horizontal, and then push and watch how the sheet of paper folds. Mm-hmm. Well, it's easy to do with a sheet of paper, but in nature, sedimentary rocks during a mountain building event can be folded in such a manner. If you know where to go and look along the highway, you can see rocks that have been folded like this. So keep that in mind. The next time you're driving down that highway, see if you don't find folded rocks, and appreciate the fact that Europe collided with North America to do that with a sheet of paper that we call sedimentary rock. You see, it's so easy to drive by things like that. The key to what our success as columnists is that we notice things like that nobody else ever does. We do a photo of it, and we explain it, usually in a fashion that's understandable. And again, get that piece of paper out, press from both sides, and watch it fold. And then imagine that was a horizon of sandstone.
And it's things like that that get people who hike with me mad, because every 2 minutes I'm looking at that, or I'm looking over here, or I'm looking over and saying, what is that? Look at that. How did that happen? And
meanwhile, somebody else.
people just want to go, oh, well, I want to go to the top of the mountain and see the view, you know. But
Remember not to take Joanna with us if we're in a hurry, or if we're worried about bears. Yeah, I can see her looking at a rock and a bear coming up behind her. Okay, well, we could obviously drive you crazy with questions about just geology, but your newest project has me very enthused. We interviewed Carolyn Keogh from the Olana Historic Site pretty recently.
We know Carolyn, yeah.
Yeah, she's wonderful. And it's a huge subject. And your new book is The Hudson River Schools of Art and Their Ice Age Origins. And it's way cool. What inspired you to do it?
Evolution.
You're in the right decade.
We did not wake up one morning and said, let's do art history. Johanna and I, going back to when we were young people, always had a passion for the Hudson River School of Art. Johanna, tell a story about going to the Met.
Well, I used to live in northern New Jersey, and on Sunday mornings, there's kind of a special brunch that Chinatown holds. They're dim sum, they're all kinds of dumplings So I used to go into Chinatown on Sunday morning, have a dim sum brunch, and then go to the Met. And I would sit on the floor in front of the Heart of the Indies and just stare at it.
It is
Church.
Frederick.
Yes.
most famous one,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But in that room, there were also Cole paintings and Escher Duran paintings. And that was my absolute bliss for Sundays.
So that's
To just go there.
festering since your childhood, pretty much. So you finally are doing this.
Yeah, well, I've been going to the Met since I was a young teenager. So, and that's another thing, your sense of what you like in paintings and what you don't, it develops over time.
Yeah.
It's the same here. I simply can't remember when I wasn't aware of the Hudson River School of Art. It's such a critical, such an important aspect of the culture of the American Northeast, but especially the Catskills. So when Johanna and I started hiking in the Hudson Valley and up in the Catskills over and over and over again, we would say that Sanford, Roberts, and Gifford stood here and painted.
So you'd recognize spots.
And we would say, and she would say, that's rampant pluck. We would drive down Highway 145 and we would look to the left and see Vroman's nose. And I remember when Johanna said, that's rampant pluck. And rampant pluck is a glacial phenomenon. And we, over and over and over again, we said, the glaciers did that. Sure, Thomas Cole painted it, but the glaciers did it. And, I don't know. We didn't wake up one morning and say, we got to start formally researching this, but it just evolved.
And who hasn't heard of Rip Van Winkle?
Right?
Because that's been since our childhood. We knew about Rip Van Winkle. And you start, when you're looking at an overall picture, you start putting pieces of things together. And it's like, okay, Thomas Cole came up here in 1825. When was Rip Van Winkle published?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was published a few years before that. Okay, so did Washington Irving and Thomas Cole know each other? Turns out there was a lunch club in New York City that they both belonged to, along with James Fenimore Cooper. And what happened after Cole got up here? He painted 4 paintings about the last of the Mohicans. So, everything kind of ties together, and you get an idea of what the overall culture is.
You're listening to the second edition of our book.
I think so. Well, wasn't Natty Bumppo's favorite spot where the Catskill Mountain House used to be?
Absolutely. Yeah. And he said, what is that? All creation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Natty and her friend went out to the Catskill Mountain House ledge and they looked into the Hudson Valley. And the friend said, what do you see down there? And Natty said, all creation. It's one of the great quotes of literature. And you could go later on today and see it for yourself.
And it does look like that. Well, unless there's a cloud cover.
Well, your more popular books are The Catskills in the Ice Age and The Hudson Valley in the Ice Age. And your column takes the reader on tours all around the area. You both teach, lecture, and conduct hiking tours. Can you tell us what your favorite activity is among these? Or do you have a secret hobby you'd rather be doing?
Our life is a hobby. And I say that quite seriously. We do the Mountain Eagle columns for free. and we don't get paid to do them. We just do it because we enjoy. I like writing a little bit more than she does, but we both we view what we're doing in life as essentially living a hobby.
Yeah, and he writes more a little bit. I research more, so have always been into answering questions. Just questions that just pop up in my head, like the one with, okay, how did Thomas Cole know Washington Irving? And, things like that. And it keeps you curious and it keeps you on your toes because you're learning new things as you go.
My wife is the best online researcher on the planet Earth.
Good to know.
Yeah. the best on the planet Earth.
Far from it.
She's darn close. I think I'm a better writer, but she is really so much of a better researcher, and so we're complementary, very much so.
I especially like that you don't stay with the artists, but have segments on the great famous landscape architects and the writers who were nourished by the Catskills. I'm curious about the writing that happens here and now. What's your process? Any two people writing as much as you two do must perhaps disagree at times.
We email each other.
Yeah. Let's suppose we have working on a column. I may sit down and pound out a first draft and then email it to Johanna.
I love it.
Then I look at it and change it and say, no, you can't do this, or no, that's not right.
Yes, it was perfect.
All right, listen, Johanna. Now, I have a column, the same page usually as you guys. I need your backup, so can I email you mine for proofreading?
Sure.
Okay, good, because mine tends to have things slip through that I really didn't intend.
Oh, you got to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt doesn't quite screen as much as he probably should.
No, let's put in a big plug for the Mountain Eagle. It's become I think, almost the official newspaper of the Catskills. And I think we're very fortunate to have it. It has attracted a large number of Catskill living columnists, and 3 of them sitting at this table here right now. And Matt gives us a lot of freedom to pursue. He's never criticized anything we ever wrote. He's caught a few typos and stuff like
Bless
that.
his little heart.
He gives us so much freedom to pursue.
And he covers the small town news that it's so hard to find anywhere else. And he covers several counties.
Yeah,
so
but he's overworked.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Oh, he's way overworked. Yeah. When mistakes are made, it's because he didn't have time.
Yeah. No, that is absolutely an asset.
So it's a great newspaper.
Yeah, we really want to make sure everybody listening understands that. If you haven't read the Mountain Eagle, rush out and get a copy right away, because local newspapers are doing 2,000 of them have closed over the last 10 years. 2,000 of them. And they're so important. And they close because people just don't spend $1 to buy them. They only come out once a week.
And it's only $1.
Yeah, and you can get it for less than that if you subscribe online. That's 50 cents.
That's right. It's quite the deal. Okay, now I have a quote. At the end of your book about the Ice Age origins of the Hudson River School of Art, you have a little discussion about STEM. STEM being the biggest, latest new thing in education, which, as we have been told, and I constantly forget, means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is all very important, and it's wonderful that they're teaching girls these things and that it's being emphasized in the schools. But I like your rearrangement of it, changing it from STEM to STEAM.
That's not our idea, but...
Well, whoever came up with it, it's brilliant. And the A meaning the arts, because there's absolutely a connection.
Yeah.
And it is sort of being pushed aside. And then the final sentence of this, now you cannot deny authorship of this. You say, and I quote...
we might.
I don't think so. With the publication of this book, we declare ourselves as intellectuals.
Yes, we...
I love it.
Intellectuals.
I did write that.
Well, he's claiming all the writing skills.
I am much more humble than he is.
Somebody has a bigger ego than the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you know about the T-shirts, he came home one day, and this was very early on when I came up to New York State, and he was doing lectures by himself, doing speaking engagements by himself. And he came home one day, and the ego was just like shining, okay? And I looked at him and I said to him,
What have you done?
what do you think, you're a rock star? Do I have to make you a T-shirt? And that's how the T-shirt developed.
Does the T-shirt say rock star?
No, it
It
just
should.
as tight as the tour.
Yeah.
But the rock star thing, I mean, I've never met a pun I didn't like or a double entendre. That's your next T-shirt, and I want one.
We're running out of time, and we have a closing question that we began asking when we realized so many of our episodes dealt with solving problems. Our guests are invariably upbeat, and we want to know this. What in this chaotic world gives you hope?
You know, what gives me hope is that the world's been spinning for 4 billion years now, and life is tenacious. And so most of what we've done to ruin life so far, life itself has overcome. It's like the old quote from Jurassic Park, right? That life goes on.
Get the best education you can. If you're a young person, get the best education you can. And don't be afraid of science. I think one thing you've heard this during this broadcast is 2 scientists. We've been scientists since we were 6 years old. And I think we can claim real enthusiasm. And I think we are intellectuals. We started with she's a biologist, I'm a paleontologist. And we branched out so far. We've let our sciences guide us through life, through interesting lives. I almost can't get up and get going fast enough every morning. It's so interesting, the things that we do. Just fascinating.
You know, it's true. I drive past their house pretty frequently, and he's always scampering around out in the yard.
I kick him out of the house.
We own 15 acres of forest. I love it there.
Yeah.
And you know, don't ever be afraid, if you're into science or if you're into art, to go with someone who's enthusiastic about the thing you're not enthusiastic about, because a lot of the time you wind up at the end of the day being just as enthusiastic as them about that subject.
Is that what happened to you, Teresa?
Probably. I like the fact of, go where your interests take you. I think where I was 10 years ago versus now, and my world has definitely changed. So part of it's living in the Catskills.
So you know what? I think we're finished. Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you. We're the ones who thank you.
That concludes another episode of Nature Calls, Conversations from the Hudson Valley. We would like to thank Sandra Powers and Devin Connolly from Cornell Cooperative Extension of Columbia and Greene Counties for production support. And a special thank you to our listeners for joining us on this episode of Nature Calls, Conversations from the Hudson Valley. You can find links to any of the topics mentioned in this episode at our website at ccecolumbiagreen.org. Comments and suggestions for future topics may be directed to us at columbiagreenmgb@cornell.edu or on the CCE Master Gardener Volunteers of Columbia and Greene Counties Facebook page. For more information about Cornell Cooperative Extension of Columbia and Greene Counties, visit our website at ccecolumbiagreen.org or visit us in Hudson or in Acra. Cornell Cooperative Extension provides equal programming and employment opportunities.